When you create a form, you can make a form a quiz. In this case, you could actually have the form grade the questions for you. Now, of course, not all, but it can grade short answer questions, multiple choice, check boxes, drop down, and the grid questions. So you could see we already created a form with different questions like multiple choice and check boxes, as well as put an image with another multiple choice questions. So now what we can do is actually create it into a quiz. To do that, we're going to click on the settings on the top. When we go to the settings, we're going to click quizzes and click make this a quiz. There's few other options that we could look at. For instance, we could release the grade right away, or if you have short answer questions or long responses where you manually have to grade them, you will want to choose later after manual review. In this case, ours, we don't have that, so we're okay. We could also have students see the missed questions, the correct answers, and point values. And then you click Save. You can put total points right on the top, or you can add points as you go through the questions. So for instance, the name, we don't have to grade that one. But for the second question, this is multiple choice. You could see right away that now that I made this a quiz, you have this answer key. So I'm going to click on the answer key. And here I could change how many points this question is worth. So let's say choose 2. And you could also see what the answer is. You could also choose a correct answer right here. And this, it makes it a check. Now also I could add an answer feedback. I could add a YouTube video or a response for students to see if they answered it wrong or correct, to give them some feedback. Now I'm going to click on the next question and do the same thing. I'm going to click on the answer key, choose my points, and choose the correct answers. Now this being a checkbox, I have multiple answers that I could pick from. And for the last question, I could do the same thing. Click on the question, answer key, change my points, and choose the correct answer.
Now we can see the students view what they see when they have a quiz. I'm putting my name. Now I can pick the answers for the questions. Just clicking the choices. Finally, the last question. Now this window comes up and I can view my score and see which answers were correct and which ones were not. And if they are not, they are coming in red. The correct answer comes at the end of the question that I didn't answer correctly, and I can see what was wrong.
So as a teacher, I can see how the students did by looking at the responses. Right here, I can see that there's 2 people that responded. I'm going to click on responses. I could see some of the insightful data right away. And I could look at it this way. I could also make copies of that data and put it in something else. But I could also look at specific grades by question and individually. So if I click on a question, I can see how the student is doing. So this is the first question. That was just the name. Obviously, it's ungraded. But if we go to the second question, I can see how the student responded. And then if I can move through the questions by clicking on the next question. Now, if you remember the next question, you see that the student chose 1 correct answer, so maybe I want to give them half credit. I could change this to 1 and save it. And then you could see that the student now got 1 out of 2 correct answers. You could also look at the responses by individual students. So you could go ahead and see here how the responses were updated because I gave the student an extra point because one of the choices was correct. And then just like with the question, if I click on the arrow, I could see the next response. I could also print out the responses for others to see.